Welcome to the Thought Leaders video blog, where industry executives share their insights and vision in today's landscape of live entertainment.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. My name is Katie Thompson, as you mentioned. I'm on the ticketing and live events team at Google. I'm an account executive on that team, and I oversee all of our sports initiatives, essentially. And I've been on that team. It will be 4 years in May, which for all the people that are watching in college athletics, it's like the longest tenure I've ever had at a company. So because prior to Google, I actually spent 7 years in college athletics. I was at Eastern Michigan, University of Maryland, and the University of Tulsa. So I have moved a lot and been in a lot of places. So kind of crazy to think that I'm coming up on the longest position that I have held in my life.
Wow, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we enjoyed the opportunity to work with you and your team as well. You guys are fantastic to partner with and work with. So Katie, tell me, how is the working from home environment going? How is it affecting you or the rest of the Google team? How are things?
Yeah, it's I think it's just a weird time for everybody, right? It's an adjustment. I think for me, the hardest part is social interaction is one of my favorite things about going to work and getting up every day. And I also think, and something that probably people that would be watching this would be able to relate to, is the team aspect of just like creative thinking and ideas and just that ever being able to just kind of flow in the moment. Is a little bit more challenging when you're work from home. We've got some really cool things on our team right now. We're doing like virtual happy hours, virtual coffee talks in the morning. So we're doing our best to stay connected, but it's just hard, over video to do that. Plus I have 2 dogs who love to bark at the wind. So the challenge of just making sure that when I do, when I am having conversations with clients, to make sure that that's kind of on lockdown. And then the added element, I don't have children in the household now, but having, my husband's also working from home. So we're just kind of correlating who's where and who's standing where when calls come in. So, the same challenges I think everybody else is having, but I think he's pretty much like, okay, I'm done talking to you. You need to get a new friend to talk to.
Hilarious. Yeah, I've got my 2 girls, 12 and 9, who are doing homeschooling. My wife's in the other room working, and I'm in here working. So it's definitely interesting. I hear you. It is challenging not to be able to go outside and talk to the team and see people in person. And that part is different. Technology definitely helps us a bit, but it is definitely interesting. So Katie, tell us, what are you seeing in live event marketing right now? What recommendations are you giving to teams and leagues? And what words of wisdom can you share? Because these are really challenging and interesting times.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take a page from the Pacquiao playbook. I read the blog post that you guys put up about what to be doing during COVID-19. And I think it's really good stuff of just this idea of like, take this as an opportunity to really pause and think about how you've approached everything around you. From, one of the things you guys talk about is just like as granular as like your tags, like making sure like everything is really polished. Because I think we tend to have the fire hose situation 24/7, right? And for the first time, we are actually in an opportunity to just take time to think about, what we've done in the past, what our digital efforts have looked like, from that macro level to as minor or as in the weeds as making sure your website is up to date, that you've removed maybe old outdated content, that the plan for the next year and what that's going to look like. I think I was mentioning this to your team as well, is when this first happened, I remember I immediately went to when I worked in college athletics, and it was more than just a job, right? It was my livelihood. It was my everything. I mean, I spent every hour at the office, right? So for me, taking that opportunity, which never came, I always used to think like, oh, next year I'm going to start 2-3 weeks earlier. And of course that time just never never actually presents itself. In this case, I would have loved to take this opportunity to really think strategically and tactfully about what next year does look like and how that's going to play out and what my efforts are going to be, where I'm going to spend my time and energy. So it's about taking a deep breath, now that we've kind of gotten through the 2 weeks of like everybody just being like, what is happening? And that's kind of the same thing we've done with our clients, is giving everybody a couple weeks to just kind of let this set in, figuring out the new normal and the work from home new normal. But now we're fully engaging in conversations about what can you be doing that doesn't require any money to be spent with us. Just what can you be doing on your own and with your own organization, and making sure all that's taken care of. But then also just what can you be doing as far as digitally? I think for us, we're still very much engaging in conversations, especially with NFL. The draft is going to still happen. So we keep joking, this will be the highest rated draft in the history of the draft, right? Because people are just so eager to consume content. So just
For sure.
how that looks, and just trying to find some of those little wins and opportunities in this kind of weird time that we're in right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, I anticipate when this blows over, whenever that is, everyone's going to be so anxious to come outside and, enjoy sports, enjoy live events, enjoy, their passionate, their fanaticism around their favorite team in college athletics. So there's going to be probably a truncated timeline. What recommendations do you have for people to make the most of it if, the renewals got pushed out and then all of a sudden it's later in the season? How can they leverage digital marketing to really accelerate and move more quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I definitely think there's still an opportunity right now for data, and to be collecting data and still doing it and being mindful of what's happening around us, right? Just the uncertainty of what's to come, economics, so on and so forth. So right now, it doesn't necessarily need to be about asking for money or asking someone to place a deposit, but can we drive leads at this point in time? Can we, still be present in a way that feels natural and comfortable based on the world that we're living in right this minute? So I do still think that there is an opportunity here that we shouldn't be missing out on. But I also think being as communicative, and I think you guys actually bring this up in your blog post as well, but just being as transparent and communicative as you possibly can, right? So making sure that everybody has up-to-date information, that you guys are, not feeling like as a team or as an organization, you have to wait to respond to things. So whether that's just, sending a message, checking in with new content from that you maybe an old school video that you guys had produced and haven't surfaced in a while, or shout out to the University of Tulsa, but they've been posting a bunch of stuff about just old retro throwback videos and content, and you're seeing it now even on live TV, right, where they're showing us the best of Sunday Night Football. So it's things like that are nostalgic, that feel good, that kind of just give people an opportunity to not necessarily have to be in this, right? Give a moment to take a break. And what better opportunity than in sports to do that and to bring back like that joy and nostalgia that's just tied up into those good times. So definitely think there's still an opportunity with lead gen, but just being ready to be full force, to your point, because I do see that the first thing that will likely come back here will be sports in some capacity. And so just being ready as a team to actually capture that is going to be incredibly important.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So Katie, you oversee not only the NCAA business, but also other sports and other leagues. Have you seen any other cool best practices, either from content or from digital marketing, that you could share?
Yeah, I would say right now, and we're talking about this. I think everybody probably can speak to the streaming that they've done over the last couple of days and weeks. But just like any streaming opportunity, you have YouTube, right? And usage is going to be up. So what can you be doing from both an organic and a paid side of things? Because again, I think the big story to tell in the sports world is that it's just so hard to get ahead and everything tends to be reactive. So what are some of the things that you can be doing now, or some of the projects that kind of were on the back burner that we can actually focus on now? And whether that's promoting it through paid channels or on your organic channels, but being places where people are there to consume, I think is going to be really important in this time. And again, there's ways to do that where it's thoughtful, and that doesn't feel like you're asking of anything, that it's just simply, we're here, where we know what you're going through, and here's something to get your mind off of it, or fill out this information and hear more about what we're doing as a team, and all these like really great things that we're hearing across, especially the sports world, of paying for the employees that work at the different arenas and stadiums.
Yeah.
So it's just, what can we be doing right there at this moment to kind of not capitalize, but just bring some different views and different, just something to turn away from the news for a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. Healthy distraction. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about the storytelling aspect. We've had some conversations around video storytelling, not only for potentially engaging with ticket sales, but also potentially for fundraising opportunities. So how can institutions, schools, organizations look at video and storytelling as a fundraising opportunity?
Yeah, I think we're seeing this. The two examples I want to call out right now that just come to my mind are DoorDash and Google. I don't know if you've seen the DoorDash commercial, but it speaks to the people that are still in the kitchen making this food. And it's this idea of like, support these local vendors around you that are still going to work and still trying to help. But right, DoorDash still wants you to use them. And still there's a play there that I think is strategic and done really well, where you don't feel like it's tacky. It comes across really genuine. And then the Google commercial of the searches around doctors and COVID-19, and just this really heartfelt approach to this. But of course, there's branding that is taking place amongst this. So storytelling, especially, I think the idea of storytelling, but also the feel good and the kind of capturing on everybody's like want to give and to do something about what's happening right now. And no better place than college athletics, right? I think, from a fundraising perspective, to your point, you have the story and you have this kind of moment in time where people are feeling maybe extra just generous and warm about just what impacts can I be making. And so, and then you throw in the third piece here, which is streaming's up. People are on YouTube more than they have been. And so, how do you capture that again in a really meaningful way? And I don't see, I do see college athletics being a great opportunity and a great time now to put some of these heartfelt stories on YouTube about their student athletes. About what their university has done, and the ultimate gifts that it's provided for some of these student athletes to be able to go to their university and through a scholarship, which is coming from fundraising. So a lot of great opportunity to tell good stories, and I feel like right now there's a lot of really good examples of content of how to do that in a way that still brings the user to the ultimate goal, right? Which is to utilize, to give, to feel some type of way about that particular school.
Yeah, totally agree. So Google's always on the cutting edge of innovation, Katie. What's Google's mentality for innovation, and how can other people take a page out of Google's book when it comes to innovation?
Yeah, I would say, I think this is like a very big question, right? I do believe that what I think is so neat about Google, we talk about this all the time, is they oftentimes talk about all the things that failed. And what I think is so neat about that is it's this idea that not everything's going to work, but it's okay to try. And it's actually encouraged to try at the expense of potentially a product failing or not doing well. And what comes from that, or how, some of these major products that failed from like a Google perspective that went on to become different products or different opportunities that changed the way we do our job. But where it derived from was not successful. So it's the idea of just thinking outside the box, not being afraid to think outside the box. But I also think innovation can mean so many different things. And I specifically talking to college athletics in this case, that tends to be a word that I think is passed around, but everybody's like a little bit scared to try it, right? We all want to wait till like that school is real innovative. Let's see if they actually pass here, and then we'll take that idea, right? So instead, it's being able to take that opportunity to explore, to possibly fail, and that's where you will see true change and true innovation from how we look at what Google's doing across like what I would do working in college athletics.
Perfect. Fantastic. So Katie, I know in the vein of innovation, Google's always introducing new products and new solutions. Are there some new products or solutions that college athletics or live entertainment should be keeping their eyes open for that are coming from Google in the near term?
Yeah, I would say, there's always ever evolving. I often joke that like what I said 3 months ago is not relevant 3 months later. It's always changing. But I think for me is more so less about what's coming as opposed to making sure we're actually taking advantage of some of the things that are relevant right now. Again, a product that is still relatively unknown is our TrueView for leads. And really the idea that we're trying to get into the lead game. And we've seen really great results there, but also automation in audiences. I mean, this is something that we have talked about, but still feels like it's a slower buy-in. But I think when you are talking about, especially in the place that we exist and the budgets that we have and trying to reach the right people with the right message at the right time, Google has literally made this extremely easy, right? For some of these schools to take advantage of that. So for me, it's really kind of just the idea of like, keep it simple, right? It's exciting that there's all these things coming up and there's all this different innovation. And I know you guys are always talking about recently OTT and just how neat it is, like some of these products that you can lean into. But I also like to always come back to say, like, let's not forget about some of the stuff that we're seeing really ramp up here and do really well. So I'm really excited about the lead generation and what's to come from that side of things from Google, but then also really, again, just the extra focus on auto bidding and audience application that I think is really still pretty underutilized in the digital space.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually think this year more than ever, efficiency with budget and spend and efficiency with digital marketing is going to be critically important with the shorter time frame and the potential impact of budget that's happening with COVID-19 in the future.
Absolutely. And so much of it is unknown, right? I mean, we're still moving forward as if, the fall season will happen as it will. And, we're just going to have to be on our toes a little bit, right? And be ready to embark on whatever that journey might look like. I mean, I keep saying it sounds like the NBA and MLB and NHL to some extent are still going to try to figure out some sort of season to finish, right? So what does that look like? And will there be a situation where you're the first 100 fans? Is it free? Is it, because the other side of this that, I don't think people are thinking about necessarily is, people that were season ticket holders, now they're out X amount of games. So how do you come back from that? What's that look like? So I'm sure there's lots of conversations happening at the organization level, just how to approach this reactively and then, moving forward, what that new normal potentially looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So Katie, talk a little bit more about data and the power of data and how marketers can lean into data to be more efficient and more effective going forward. So just some examples or some ideas around how the community can be more efficient with data?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love this word, especially we joke that in college athletics, it's like I feel like I'm hearing it all the time. Data, this data warehousing, this third party I'm using. We're segmenting our data. It looks amazing. We're doing all these really neat things with our data, but we're not applying it anywhere. It's just existing. So it's the idea of how then do we leverage that information and apply all these wonderful things that you guys are doing behind the scenes to your digital marketing efforts, right? And I think that's being missed to some extent, right? Is like, we're doing this, and we're doing, we're making sure we have our data kind of in place. We're capturing data, we're constantly uploading data, and then we're really focused on our digital efforts and trying to maintain those, but they're not talking to each other. And we are ever more talking about privacy and users' desire and need and want for transparency in this world of what are you doing with my information? Where is it going? And so with all these different regulations that have already come down the pipeline and are yet to come, which there will be more, it is very important more than ever that your first party data is polished and that you are leaning in there. I also think remarketing will be a huge thing as far as just like your own website, your own owned and operated properties, and making sure back to the blog post that you guys put up, making sure that all those pixels are placed and are placed correctly, and that you are capturing some of that information so that you can later on apply that. Because even now, if people are coming to your website, when we turn back on, we want to make sure that we're re-engaging all those people that have been trying to get more information about us during this quiet period, right? So, so I think it's just really important that more than ever, and the future is going to continue to hone that in and make it basically, force your hand a little bit if you aren't doing it already, to make sure that data is in a good place and that you're actually applying it to all of your digital efforts.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, you guys are obviously, and you and Google are obviously leading the charge and being proactive and thinking about how everyone can use data and helping all of live entertainment to take action on that as well. So we're appreciative of that. Thank you. So change up a little bit, something kind of fun. So tell us, what was your favorite live event that you've ever attended, Katie?
Oh, so many. So I am very spoiled in the live events. I have given a pretty similar answer. So I am going to actually move away from the answer I usually go to, which was back from a time when I was at the University of Tulsa. So that was a career moment, but I'm going to say I went to the SEC championship game this past year, and it is very hard for me to get geeked out over college athletics, because for a lot of the people that you guys work with, they know that you kind of, once you've been to one football game, you've been to them all, right? Once you've worked a 10-hour football game day, you kind of feel like you've been to every one. So it's hard to impress me from college athletics, but the SEC championship game was an unreal experience from the amount of just the vibe of the game, the amount of celebrities in attendance at the game. No detail was spared. I mean, it was a VIP experience like I have never experienced in my, and I kept going back to, this is college athletics. This isn't the Super Bowl. This is the SEC championship. And I did have the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm telling you, this experience completely, for me, felt like just a totally unreal experience. So very grateful I had the opportunity to go.
High praise.
Yes, it was great. Shout out to Lauren Taylor if she's watching. We go way back, and she was able to help get me into the game. So, but really a very cool live entertainment experience that I will never, ever forget. So I'm going to go with that answer this time.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Katie Thompson, thank you so much for joining us on the Thought Leaders video webinar. We are so excited to have had you, and thank you for your ongoing partnership as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Craig, and best of luck to everybody during these times. Make sure you over-index on things that bring you comfort, love, and joy. But thanks so much, Craig. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining the Thought Leaders video blog. And remember, everyone can step up and be a leader in their own way. We look forward to seeing you next time.